The Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. So good to have you right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. And as always, this show is brought to you by my friends at Florida Fishing Products and the Fish Brain app. Now, I've got a good friend of mine with me here today, Mr. John Johnson from Fishlong. Now, we have had John on the show before talking about a product that truly I believe should be in everyone's boat. But before we start, I want to do a little housekeeping. I got to be an adult. I got to pay the bills. And I want to invite you guys. Listen, I'm hosting a trip this summer in June 14th through the 20th, with my good friend Captain Bob from over on the Hook with Captain Bob, another radio show here on the Outdoor Radio Network. We're heading to the Bahamas, y'all. And we're going to be there for 7 days, 6 nights, 4 full days of inshore fishing in the Bahamas, chasing bonefish and tarpon and permit on fly or spin. I think me and Bob might actually sneak in a bait caster just for kicks, just for funsies, because that's going to be really cool to catch a bonefish on a bait caster. But we would love to have you there. Now, listen, this is a limited number of guests, right? And we're almost sold out. So if you want to do this, head on over to outdoorradionetwork.com/trips. And listen, y'all, if you've got a spouse that loves to fish, bring them. This is a great thing to do. If you have a spouse that doesn't like to fish, bring them anyways, because they can stay at this all-inclusive 5-star resort, have the time of their life on the beach without you while you and me are going fishing. So this is a trip for everyone. Make sure you guys are checking it out. outdoorradionetwork.com/trips. John, so good to see you, buddy. How are you, my
Good
friend?
to be doing well. Good to be back, man.
Yeah, you have created such a cool product. All right. And I don't want this, guys. Listen, this isn't an infomercial. Though we are going to give you a lot of information about this product. But really, I do not talk about products on this show or on the TV show that I don't believe in. And this is a product that I truly believe in. And I don't care if you're a skiff guy, if you're a bass guy, if you're a big offshore guy, maybe you're straight artificials, but you tournament fish, or maybe you're strictly a bait guy and you are tired of having a blacked out well that is full of dead bait because you worked really hard to catch that bait, or maybe you spent the money to buy all that bait. Because let's be honest, throwing a cast net can be a lot of work, right? You guys need to check out Fishlong. This is the product that you need on your boat. And John is the man to tell us all about it. Get us started, man. It's 2026. You guys have made some updates. Tell me about Fishlong.
Yeah.
Let's tell everyone about the product and its dimensions, its weight, its size, installation stuff, and all the new upgrades for 2026.
Well, we really didn't change a whole lot from 25 to 26 as far as the backbone of the equipment, which is the unit itself. It's about a 6x9 box. So you're looking at smaller than a Group 24 battery. It weighs about 9 pounds total. It's a great small little piece of equipment to have in there. Like you mentioned bait. The bait version of it's called Bait Lung. That system is absolutely fantastic. We got to doing some testing and released probably with it, I would say, the saltwater version of that probably mid 2025. We spent a good bit of time down in Texas and Louisiana doing some testing in red fishing arenas with that. Redfish are a different breed, different critter. Man, they're probably one of the most finicky fish on the planet when it comes to trying to keep them alive. So what we found out is a lot of the boats that you guys use to redfish, they're obviously very shallow boats. They're designed to get into those shallow waters. 6, 9, 8 inches of water, something like that. And because of that, you don't have a lot of depth in that boat. You don't have a lot of depth in that live well. So as a result, when you have that shallow live well, it actually added a little bit of a challenge in there for us. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit and change our setup as far as our delivery. And what we found out is it was the efficiency level from that was, man, it was too much to ignore.
Mm.
So we brought those changes over into the rest of the market, in the rest of our lineup, because it was just too good to not. It was too easy to bring it over. So we did change our stones a little bit. We changed some of the isolators, because the vibration isolators, because it does have a compressor in it, so you're going to get some residual isolation out of that. And when you get into your larger boats, your 30+ foot boats, that's not an issue. But when you're in your smaller boats, like your skiffs or a bass boat or something like that, vibration, especially in the shallow water, you don't want that. So
Yeah.
we try to isolate all of that out. And the isolators that we went with early in 2024, the feedback we got from our anglers was they're challenged to put in. So we went back to the drawing board and changed those up and made those easier to go in, a lot simpler to install, a lot less cuss words, and a lot less tools thrown around the shop. So, if you don't listen to your customer, that's step number one of going out of business.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so a few things to unpack there. Number one, let's talk about the size. You
okay.
compared it to a Group 24 battery. Guys,
Yep.
most of your trolling motor deep cycle batteries are coming in a Group 24 size. So it's not a massive amount of space. It's tiny, okay? Now,
Yep.
it's bigger, it's going to be bigger than like your little moped batteries or your riding tractor
Yep.
batteries, right? But it's not much bigger than that, right? So you're not going to take up a lot of space. That's crucial. You said it. I don't have a lot of space in my skiff, right? I'm limited because it is a shallow water boat. It's not a deep V, it's not a deep hull. There's not unlimited amounts of space here. So I don't have a ton to give away to you. So giving me a package that is tiny like that, a unit that is going to outperform any of those little battery powered packs, because let's be honest, you're not carrying extra batteries. Number one. Number two, they don't put out enough oxygen to make a difference, right? Number three, if you have an aerator pump on your boat and it's kind of constantly circulating, guess what? It's going to burn out and it's going to burn out at the wrong time. How do I know?
Always does.
I- I've got, yes, always does. I've got friends. I'm specifically thinking of Captain Max McKinley. He's been on the show a few times. He's a great dude. I caught that snook behind me with Max, and I feel like every couple of months, Max is posting on social media, yelling and screaming about his bait pump went out. And here I am
Yep.
again having to replace the stupid bait pump, right? And I see that post from charter captains all the time. You guys on the West Coast, on the Gulf side, Florida, I know you're using white bait and you're changing out these pumps. As a charter captain, buddy, I'm tired at the end of the day. I'm coming home. I'm switching hats from captain to dad and then husband. The last thing I want to do is work on my boat. The last thing I want to do is switch out pumps. So I'm going to purchase a system that's going to take care of that. That's why I switched to lithium, because I don't have to think about swapping out my lithium batteries. I ran four charters without charging my lithium batteries because I don't need to, because it's good to go. I want to invest in a product that's going to eliminate work and stress and time and effort. I want to just go fishing. And if I can think of one less thing to deal with, man, that makes me happy. So
Yep.
that is a huge thing. Thinking about a small unit, it's not going to take up a lot of space in your boat. That's going to last you a long, long time. So I
I'm
love
I'm
that.
glad you mentioned the pump process, because a typical pump, whether it's a recirculation or whatever it may be, you're pulling water in via the pump. it goes through it and it comes back in. It's reintroduced somewhere else. And you're right. You're dealing with scales. You're dealing with whatever they regurgitate or pass or whatever. That's constantly going through that pump, and it takes a toll. Whereas this system sits in a box somewhere else. There's a tube that goes into your live well, and then there's a stone at the end of that tube, or a T, and then two stones. And the oxygen is pumped into your live well. There is no recirculation of water. There is no pump. There's nothing picking water up that's having to eat those scales or any of that. This this process happens in another compartment in your boat, and then the oxygen is pumped straight into your live well and injected into the water. And it's amazing how the water soaks that oxygen up when it's done properly.
Guys, don't go anywhere. We are just scratching the surface when it comes to the reason why I have fish long and why you guys need fish long in your boat. John, I'm so glad to have you here, buddy. This is going to be such an educational show for everyone involved. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back, right here on the Outdoor Radio.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back.
Anglers, unleash your passion with Florida fishing products. Our saltwater reels are built for every fight, from weekend casts to tournament triumphs. With lightweight strength, corrosion-proof seals, and ultra-smooth drags, FFP gear is trusted by pros to land more fish. To find out more, go to your local Florida Fishing Products dealer or visit us online at floridafishingproducts.com and gear up for epic battles today.
Ready to catch more fish? Join over 20 million anglers on FishBrain, the world's #1 fishing app. Get proven spots, AI bite forecasts, bait tips, depth charts, and real-time community reports. Log catches with instant species ID, stay legal with regulations, and fish smarter, beginner or pro. Download the free app today at fishbrain.com and level up your game.
Imagine crystal clear flats stretching forever and bone fishing royalty poling your skiff. This June, join Captain Bob and Captain Jonathan Moss for the trip of a lifetime on Grand Bahama. Fish with the legendary Pinder, Clinton, and Tate families, the same captains who put Lefty Cray on trophy bones. All-inclusive resort. Only 20 spots exist. Book now at outdoorradionetwork.com/trips.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. We're here on the Outdoor Radio Network. Guys, if you missed the show live here on ORN, I've got some good news. You guys can head on over to Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, the Waypoint Podcast Collective. This show airs pretty much everywhere. And we're working on some stuff behind the scenes where this show is going to be on most of your radio dials across the country. And we're really excited about that. So stay tuned for that. But you can find the Captain's Log Radio at the Captain's Log TV. That's the handle. Check that out. Search that all over the place. On Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Of course, all of those places where you can listen to music and radio shows and podcasts, that's where you find the Captain's Log Radio. We got a ton of content. We are 7 seasons deep, and we have already started recording season 8 of the Captain's Log TV, which is going to come out this spring. I'm really excited about that. We've had some killer shows filmed already, so I'm really excited for you guys to see the fish we're catching. And of course, I'm posting on social media all the time, on my stories, showing you guys what we're doing on my charters and the fish that my clients are catching. So check it out at the Captain's Log TV, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. John, where can people find the Fish Lung?
Oh, they can find us at fishlung.com, obviously. And then on Facebook, it's just Fish Lung. Just go search us there. And the Fish Lung on Instagram.
Love it, man. Awesome. Okay. We were talking about some of the new updates and some of the reasons why you guys need to have Fish Lung in your boat. Okay. One of those that you were talking about, John, is vibration. I tell you, I take a lot of people fishing. I'm very blessed to run charters. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love seeing people catch fish. I love pushing like the whole even today, right? Seeing these guys from Argentina spoke very little English,
Mm.
which is great because I speak very little Spanish. So we went back and forth. We're talking through it all, and they've got a school of tailing redfish in front of them. And to see them light up, to be so excited about this opportunity to present a fly to these fish, and it took us a couple of tries. Like they're trout fishermen. They've never done this before. This is not in their wheelhouse. So we're playing a bit of charades, right? I'm talking Spanglish and we're figuring it out. Actually, if you didn't know, I'm actually half Cuban and half redneck. So I've got some Spanish in me, right? And I've got some family members that are Cuban rednecks. So that's a whole new ball game of people, buddy. But we were talking, we're coaching them through, and to see them hook these fish, light up. But one of the guys, he got really excited and he blew a shot and he stomped his foot now and he made all this noise and the fish spooked. And I started laughing. I was like, well, he doesn't know. We're fishing in very shallow water. Vibration in the boat. Okay. You can be talking and coaching someone to those fish. You can be searching, going, oh man, right here at 10 o'clock, 50 feet, I got a fish tailing. I got a fish pushing down the shoreline. I got a group right here getting ready to feed on some shrimp, getting ready to make a presentation. They're not going to hear you, right? They're not focused on you. But you start stomping your feet, you start moving around, you start shutting
Mm.
hatches really hard, shutting the cooler lid. All right. I had a kid the other day that was grabbing the knob on my steering wheel and he spinning it,
Mm.
making all this noise. Fish are going to feel that. And
Yep.
that pressure, that moment, that movement, those sound waves are going to travel through your boat and into the water to these fish. And
Yep.
that lateral line, look at that snook behind me, that
Yep.
black lateral line that every fish has is going to feel that. And so you guys at Fishlong have taken that into consideration and have
Yeah.
changed your vibration isolators. Talk about that. Explain the science and then how that resonates through the boat and how that makes a big difference with how quiet the machine is.
Yeah. Sound. I don't think the actual sound is as important as that vibration you mentioned. If you can eliminate that vibration, I think that's the biggest piece of that puzzle as far as interfering with the fish. Um, the sound itself on a decibel meter is no higher than your pumps. Now it does sound different because it's at a different frequency, and it's got a much more of a bass sound to it than say your pumps. Your pumps are a much higher frequency. And because it's different, a lot of people they key in on that sound. But when it comes to the fishing, I don't think it has any effect on them at all. Now, vibration, on the other hand, especially in the shallows, I think vibration could have, and that's why we focus so hard on dampering out any and all vibration from that machine. Um, I've got a vibration. Um, I don't know what you would call it. It's a sensor. It's a several $1,000 piece of equipment that when we set this thing up, we can measure the vibration of different types of isolators,
Hmm.
and that way we can get a direct comparison from one style to another, so that we know we're getting the absolute best that we can get, that's going to be robust, that's going to last, that's going to be easy to install. So a lot of thought, a lot of testing, a lot of research has gone into providing, the best that we can. That's still going to now. Can you get better? Absolutely, but it can also get extremely difficult to install the really high end stuff. Of course, you run the price up exponentially that way too. So you have to be careful there and keep it, sensible and get the best that you can get without going overboard. And I feel like we've done that. Um, Man, when you can run this machine on a desktop and you can take a glass of water and sit on that desktop right beside it, and there's no quiver of that water, I feel like you've done what you're supposed to do. When there's no movement of water, and that's just a great visual telltale of what you're doing.
You just touched into my 90s kid, right? I'm a 90s kid. Now, I was born in the 80s, but I remember the 90s the most. And I immediately am going to Jurassic Park, and he had a glass of water on his desk, and that T-Rex is walking as a boom when it's shaking, right?
It's a great demonstrator. Yes.
Oh man, that's genius. That's absolutely great.
And when you can take the equipment that is designed to measure into the thousandths of what vibration is there, and you can narrow it down to 0.0018 vibration, and we have a testing method that we use. We do the same thing over and over again. That way we're getting apples to apples, and we've got it pretty tight to where you're not going to feel any vibration from the machine, and that's essential. We've got a red fisherman. We got a couple red fishermen that's using the systems, and the way that these guys are crushing it, man, it is not affecting the fishing whatsoever. In fact, one of the guys, I've been after him to pull his system and send it back to me and let me tweak it a little bit. And he's like, nope, man, this is too good. I will not pull this system out of this boat.
Well, what I love that you're saying is you didn't just go on Amazon and order some stuff. Yeah, that'll work. You guys are testing. You are
we test everything.
R&Ding everything.
Everything.
Because that means so much. Because like we talked about before, I don't want to put a product in my boat that's going to fail. I don't want to put a product in my boat that hasn't been tested. And just because you said it's on the box, you actually mean what you say and what it says it can do. And that's tremendous for the angler.
Yes, absolutely. If we don't do our homework, man, we don't deserve your business. And that's just the bottom line. We offer a 30-day money back guarantee, and we joke about this, but we're dead serious about it. If you buy and make your wife mad over it, you got 30 days. We will refund your money for that purpose. If you spent the rent money, that too counts. So when we say any reason, we mean it. But we haven't had to worry about it yet, because if you put it in and you use it, you'll like it. I promise you. Matter of fact, most of our guys have said they won't have another boat without it. That's how much they love it.
We're coming up our last minute. Let me ask you this before we go to our next break. I'm a big offshore guy. Let's just say, example, and I've got a 36 yellowfin, and it's got a massive tank in the back. What's the capacity for these units for the fish lung? How big of a tank? How many gallons can you guys hold?
I tell you what, I'm going to say this, and we'll probably have to go into the next segment on this. But I've taken two and done a 2,000-gallon tank, and I want to explain that later, because that's a lot.
Oh man, two and a 2,000-gallon tank.
Yes,
guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know this story, and this is a really cool story. So when we get back from this break, all right, we're gonna talk about you guys saving the day for some kids and fishing in a giant tank that was losing their fish. I'm excited about this. Guys, don't go anywhere. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. This is the Captain's Log Radio right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. We got Fish Long in the house. We'll be right back.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back.
Elevate your boat's shine with Stark Yacht Care. Our premium marine-grade compounds, polishes, and ceramic coatings deliver strength, durability, and a flawless finish. Trusted by pros for easy application and long-lasting protection. Based in Fort Myers, Florida, Stark redefines boat maintenance. Check out the entire lineup of Stark products. Visit StarkYachtCare.com or Visit one of the Marine Detail Supply Company locations today.
Anglers, keep your catch alive and thriving with Fish Lung Gen 2 saltwater. This game-changing oxygen system pumps over 200% more dissolved oxygen into live wells up to 50 gallons. Compact, saltwater ready, and easy to install. It's trusted by pros to ensure healthy fish and penalty-free weigh-ins. Visit fishlung.com to revolutionize your live well today.
Surfing, fishing, or crushing a triathlon? Waterman's high-performance sunscreen with Aqua Armor keeps you protected for 8 hours in water or sweat. Our sun care products are reef-friendly, fragrance-free, and won't run into your eyes. Engineered for athletes, it's sweat-proof and stays put, no matter the challenge. Trusted by pro surfers and lifeguards alike. Skip the burn at gowatermans.com. Watermans. Outlast the day.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. I've got John from Fish Lung with me today. And right before the break, he was, teeing it up, getting ready to tell us an incredible story. This dude showed up like Superman and saved the day. John, tell us this catfish story, buddy. I'm excited. Everyone to hear it.
All right. So me and a couple other of our guys, we went down to Ibex down in Tampa, right? And we had to leave a day early because the Ultimate Angler was happening on Gunnersville. Now, Gunnersville is our home water, so we knew we had to be there. So we dropped one of our guys off at the airport, and he took off, and the other guy and I, we loaded up, and we took off. We drove through the night. We got back to Gunnersville. We were dog tired, and we got in there and we got set up, and we were set up beside a booth where they did a 2,000-gallon collapsible tank, and they put catfish in it, and they were doing a kids rodeo, fishing rodeo. Well, about 4 or 5 hours into this thing, the catfish are at the surface, and they're struggling. They're unshaded out there in that heat because Ibex was that July?
No, Ibex was September, October?
It was later in the year, but it was still hot.
It was still hot.
And the catfish were struggling pretty bad, and we had a couple systems in the truck because we had taken them down there for demos, of course. And I just walked over to the guys and I said, "Look," I said, "I don't know that I can help." I said, "But it's worth a try." Obviously, it's way more water than we designed a system to do. And he said, "Man, if you think you can help in any way, I'll take it." So we dragged them out and set them up, throw the stones over into the tank. And I took a reading, and the water was down around 4 parts per million of dissolved oxygen, and that's why those fish were suffering. Had 200 pounds of catfish in it. And I tested that water that afternoon after about 4 hours of runtime, and we had that water up to about 8.5, 9 ppm, parts per million of dissolved oxygen with 2 systems. So they're both running about 1,000 gallons apiece. Now that's a lot. That was asking a lot out of those systems, and I was very, very pleased. Now, obviously, I would not suggest that on a regular basis, but I'd comfortably say we can do 100 gallons pretty good with just a fish lung system.
And what happened to the fish?
Oh, they didn't lose a single fish. They were there for 3 days, didn't lose a single fish.
Proof's in the pudding, buddy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine this guy? He got his 2,000-gallon tank set up. They dumped 200 pounds of catfish in it. And Johnny is showing up to go fishing. Him and Susie got their little Zebco 33s, and they're going to go catch some catfish. And all these fish are getting ready to go belly up, right?
Yeah.
They're on the surface, swimming in circles, dying. And you showed up and saved the day, and everyone got to catch some fish. That's amazing.
Yep.
That is absolutely amazing.
That was pretty good. That guy said, "Hey man, I transport a lot of fish." He said, "I'm gonna have to get a few of these systems from you." So we were able to work something out with him too. That you want to talk about making a believer of somebody, that worked that day.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had some
So
fun with that.
so think about that, guys. You pro redfish tournament fishers, anglers, you guys lose points when you're fishing the circuit and you bring home a dead fish. And most of the guys I know that fish those tournaments are good anglers. They're in it to win it, and losing some ounces can make all the difference. And most of those guys that I know are great. Like they want to take care of their estuaries. So the last thing you want to do is catch fish, put it in your live well, and lose the tournament because your fish are dead. Number one. And then number two, if it's a release tournament, the last thing you want to do is kill a bunch of fish in someone else's home waters that you don't fish. You're just there visiting for the weekend because if we have a big tournament. This system can change that. This system could potentially win you the tournament because Johnny Joe Schmo, who doesn't have it and shows up with the biggest bag and has a dead fish, he just lost a bunch of points and that bumped you up. So this can make all the difference. You bass guys that are culling out 5 fish, you got a tank with 5 fish, and I guarantee you the live well in my skiff is probably bigger than most bass boats. Bass boats don't have big live wells. And you're
No,
you're you're throwing 5 fish in there, and you're trying to get 27, 28, 30 pounds. I mean, that's a big stringer to bring into weigh in, and you've got some dead fish. That doesn't look good. That's not going to help you, right? So, getting a system put in place that is going to give you 9 parts per million. What can a system do in a regular live well that's not, 2,000 gallon tank?
we were out to lunch one day. This was probably 2 or 3 months ago, and this was kind of weird. We went and sat down at the little restaurant we were eating at, and it was a little Mexican place up the road, and and I think our social media guy just did a video on this, but um, I looked up and I noticed a jersey, a fishing jersey on the wall, and in one of the little shadow boxes, and I got to looking. I said, "Man, it's got a logo on it." So I went up to, and I thought, we didn't sponsor anybody, a fishing team around here. So, but I had a pretty good idea of what had occurred. But anyway, I asked the restaurant owner. I said, "Man, whose jersey is that?" And he told me what school it was. So I went to the school and talked to the coach. And I said, "Look, why don't you guys come over to our shop and see what we do, and see if you guys are gonna rep us, man, let us teach you guys what we do, and see if there's a way we can help you guys even greater, So we set up a thing, and we brought them over and fed the boys pizza and everything, and we did a demonstration for them. And we set up 2 identical tanks, and in one tank we did a bubbler, and we did a spray head, typical spray head, which you would find in any bass boat live well. And we also did a separate stone with the compressor that we typically use in our unit. And in the other tank, exact same size tank, we set our system up. And we had the boys test the water before we start. And then we said we're going to run them for 1 hour. And we had them write everything down, record everything, and we turned them on. And at exactly 1 hour, we went and had pizza and everything. And at exactly 1 hour, we turned everything off, and then we reread them. And when you see what's going on in one tank, it's very, very visual. It's a lot of activity. You think, man, that ought to be great what's happening there. And in fact, we went from 7.5 ppm in that tank to 9.5 ppm, which is only a net gain of 2. And then in our tank, we went from 7.9 ppm to 27.9. So we had a net gain of 20, 2 versus 20 in the same hour. And I tried to explain to them, and I think most of them got it. In the one tank, with all those 3 systems running, they're using air. That's what they have in common, is they're all having to use air, which is 21% oxygen. Whereas in our system, It's oxygen, concentrated oxygen coming into that tank at 95%. And it's such a drastic difference in the water when you're putting in 21% oxygen versus 95% oxygen. And that water soaks that oxygen up. It's just astronomical, the difference that oxygen makes over air. So you really have to think about it. Your drink in your glass will never be colder than the ice that's in your drink. And if all you're ever going to put in it is air, 21% oxygen, you're only going to get to about 9.5 ppm, and you're tapped out. You start throwing fish in that, especially redfish, man, you're going to suck that oxygen out of there so fast. It's incredible. But if you can throw them in that tank that's got 25 ppm, not only can they survive, they can recover quicker, and those fish will live throughout the day in that type of water, in that environment.
Think about this. Summertime, and I've talked about this. This has been a tackle box tip. We've talked about this in the show before. Summertime, we're bumping our tackle. That water is hot. There is less dissolved oxygen in the water. That is what your fish are breathing. So we're bumping our tackle to shorten the fight time. We're bumping up that tackle to get that fish to the boat quickly so that then we can get our hero shot, get our picture, unhook the fish back in the water, and then revive the fish. All right. But again, you're putting the fish in hot water. So there's still less oxygen. It's like me going to the mountains and running a marathon. I'm going to be huffing puffing. Can I get through the marathon? Yeah, I'll probably get through it, but I'm going to be huffing puffing. Okay. Because I'm so used to being at sea level with so much more oxygen. Right.
Yep.
You release that fish, he might swim away, but now there's a better chance he's going to deal with predation. He could get eaten by a shark. He could get eaten by a dolphin.
Yeah.
Dolphins are a major issue here in the Indian River Lagoon. I consistently have the illegal amount. I'll say it out loud. I put illegal amount of fish in my live well because I don't want to lose them to the dolphins. This can be your solution. Put them in there to get some oxygen before you release them. Guys, don't go anywhere. We got one more segment. We'll be right back.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back.
Dreaming of epic adventures without the meltdown? Discover Icon coolers, engineered for ultimate durability, style, and performance. From hard coolers that stand up to anything, to lightweight soft coolers like the stackable Backstack XL backpack, Icon has you covered for beach days, tailgates, or family getaways. Indestructible design and built to keep ice longer so you can focus on the fun. Head to iconcoolers.com today and make every moment cooler with Icon. Tired of walking off the boat smelling like the bait bucket that soap can't touch? Say goodbye forever with Something's Fishy from Miracle Mist. One quick spray and it's gone. Just pure essential oil power that kills the odor at the source. All natural, safe on skin, safe for kids and pets. Grab Something's Fishy now at miraclemistinc.com and use code CL10 at checkout to save 10%. Miracle Mist. Smell like you never left the dock.
Hey there, adventure lovers! Since 1983, Chums has been your go-to buddy for keeping your sunglasses safe and sound. No more splashy goodbyes. Dive into fun with our legendary original cotton retainers, tough wallets, and handy bottle slings. All built for hiking, fishing, boating, or just soaking up the sun. Hang on tight and live your best outdoor life with gear that's durable, stylish, and ready for anything. Grab yours today at chums.com and let's make more happy memories out there.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Guys, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. This show is brought to you by my friends at Florida Fishing Products. Mr. Ty Nelson always got me hooked up with the best reels in the game, y'all. I don't care if you're bass fishing or saltwater fishing, go check out Florida Fishing Products. And of course, the FishBrain app. Guys, what? Social media for fishing? Sign me up. I'm already there. Make sure you check me out at the Captain's Log TV there. But guys, the FishBrain app is legit. Traveling new places, you want to check the weather, you want to check the tides, you want to check the regulations, you want to see what are people catching in the area, you want to meet some friends to go fishing. Hey, I'm on vacation. I'm by myself. I don't know anybody. I want to go fishing. check out the Fish Brain app. That is the place. It is a fishing companion. And it's a tool that you need just like Fish Lung. Dude, we were talking, said so much about Fish Lung. You are in North Alabama. You are
Yes.
nowhere near redfish, but you've
No.
got a product for saltwater. This is something I love about you guys. You take R&D serious. You made a trip down to Louisiana, down to Texas, testing out. Tell me about your trip to Louisiana, Texas.
Man, first off, we had a blast. Both places that we went, we had fantastic hosts, and more importantly, they were fantastic teachers. Because you're from North Alabama, you bass fish, you crappie fish. I'm not going to pretend to know about red fishing. So we relied on some some teamwork. Some of our guys put together for us and did fantastic work on that. And really got us hooked up with some really knowledgeable, um, fantastic people that just hosted us and taught us about the fisheries and what their concerns were. And you have to commit yourself to that, because this, and every one of your listeners, and they know this too. This industry is full of people or businesses or whatever you want to call it that will sell you a bunch of BS, unfortunately, and take your money and don't really care if the product is what they claim it to be or not. And man, we just made a promise to ourselves and to our customers that we were never going to be that. So we're committed to learning the industries and the fisheries that we get into, and knowing that, and tuning our products for those fisheries, because that's the only right way to do it. This is not a cheap product, and it's not right to take money from folks without providing the absolute best that we can. So that's what we're committed to doing, and that's what we did. And we spent a lot of time down there. We've probably made over a dozen trips down to the Gulf, from Galveston all the way down to Tampa. Um, I think we got one coming up going to the Keys. Now we'll probably have people fighting to go to that one, but
Yeah,
um,
I'm supposed to go with you to that one, right?
yeah, that one too. Um, but it's always an educational thing, because it's so many different saltwater boats, man. We got a lot of learning to do, right? So we go down there, and what we found out is the stones that we were using, the bubble size was too big for what we want to do, because the shallow tanks in some of these boats that the red fishermen have to use. So we had to minimize that bubble and allow that bubble to stay suspended longer, which gives the water more time to absorb it.
Break that
And
down.
once
Break that down for anglers who don't know what you're talking about. You're getting a
Okay, so
stone that the stone is where the air comes out through the tube,
yes,
through the stone
yes,
to create the bubbles. Explain how
yep.
all that works for the listeners.
All right, so it is your choice of stone is critical. Some of the stones, and we have some. We've tested tons of them. We've got, in fact, we've got pallets of them. You can get these high end ceramic stones if you got a high pressure system, and they'll make a bubble that you can't see. You'd have to have a magnifying glass to even see them. And those are fantastic for delivery. They do have what we found to what's commonly called gill burnout associated with those, because the bubbles are so small. And I do have a belief on that. I think it's because the bubbles accumulate on the gill plates. And if it covers the gill plate and the oxygen it doesn't reach the gill plate, then it's essentially suffocating. It's kind of like wrapping that gill plate with cellophane. So
Oh,
we knew we couldn't get too small, because that is a known problem, and we didn't want to get into that area. Plus, our system isn't a high pressure system, so those stones are kind of irrelevant to us. Um, but we selected a stone based on a lot of testing that 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 puts out a bubble that's rather small, but you can see all of them. So that bubble comes out and it suspends longer in the water column, and that water will absorb the oxygen out of that bubble, very much like water itself, or like a sponge itself would absorb water. It just soaks it up. And if you'll give it a chance, you'd be amazed at the efficiency of water. pulling that oxygen out of that bubble. And that's what we were able to accomplish. And if you use a stone that in a bass boat that's got a 20-inch deep live well, it's irrelevant. It really doesn't matter as much. But in a boat that's got a 6-inch live well, it's very, very important that you get that right stone. And we found that out. So we went to a new stone that reduced that bubble size, increased the efficiency. And when we saw how well it works, we said, man, let's just do this across the board. It's almost silly not to. So we did that, and we've had just fantastic results with it. Um, and I love the R&D side of that because, and I know a lot of people are like, man, what's the difference? It's a bubble. It's not just a bubble. I promise you, it's so fascinating. Um, and I know I'm getting a little boring there, but but when you can,
I'm thinking this man's brain, like
it's
DOA
fried.
lures I use his fried. That's hilarious. Mark Nichols over at DOA Lures, he's got his mad scientist little lab there. He just designs, carves out lures, and you see the wheels turning when you're talking to him, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna do this. I got this working on that." That's how you are. Like, you're so technical with this stuff. Like, it's nerdy, but it's so cool because you are really you're thinking passionately about the product that you're building and you're offering to anglers. You're thinking about the fish. It's not just, we'll just grab a stone off the shelf and stick it on our unit. No, you're actually testing this and checking out what this is what, guys, I'm telling you, I have said it. I would be a liar. I would lose all integrity if I promoted people and products that weren't good, right? I would be a fake, a fraud if I said, buy this and it's going to be fantastic. It was a piece of junk. I will not align myself with companies. I've had companies send me big offers and then products, and they're terrible. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. It's not, I don't care how much money you're throwing at me. I'm not going to lie. Okay. And that's what Fish Lung is doing. They are researching everything to the T. Listen to John. John's going, but he's excited about bubbles.
I'm an angler too, man. I've been lied to. I remember going to a Bassmaster Classic a long time ago, in 2006, I think it was. And it was like Bill Dance or someone that said something to me that just stuck. He said, "You know what the majority of lures are meant to do?" And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Catch the angler."
Yep.
And man, that just stuck with me, you know. And I've had people tell me that marketing is more important than anything you can do. And I'm like, no, the product is more important. I have always argued that fact. The product is the most important thing. It is the backbone, the foundation of a company. Marketing is just part of it.
Yes.
And no, I will not lie to someone to take their money. I will quit. I'll shut the company down before I'm a part of that, man. I refuse to be that way.
I love that, man. I absolutely love that.
So we had so much fun this past year, you know, going on these different trips. I've done trophy catfishing trips, and part of that was because Patriot Catfishing, they do zero expense trips for veterans, and I love that. And I'm a veteran. Awesome. Veteran Patriot Catfishing. That's the company that does it, and I love these guys. They do it right here on the Tennessee River, and they asked me to go, and I went. And my idea of a catfish was a you know a 10 pounder max. No, sir. These guys is pulling out 10-pound cats out of the Mississippi River at 90 feet. I mean, the Tennessee River at 90 feet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this occurred like this. So just a whole new spectrum of fishing that I got to discover this past year. You know, the red fishing and the cat fishing and stuff. And a lot of these customers, like the red fishing and the catfishing guys, they all already use oxygen. They know the benefit of it because, you know, you was talking about catching and holding them fish to revive. a lot of the cat guys, they will pull those when they pull those fish from that deep. They'll put those fish in that live well and give them 10, 15 minutes in that oxygenated water before they release, because they know that fish's chance of survival just goes to the roof because of that. And I love that. And when you're dealing with a tank, there's so many little rules and regulations and laws. Let's not forget that to transport a pressurized tank, there are laws that govern that, and they're different from state to state. And how that affects people's personal insurance or not, I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but there's things associated with transportation of pressurized tanks that we can eliminate all of those logistical issues for you. And you never have to worry about whether your tank is full or empty, or whether you forgot to shut the valve or whatever, or once you leave home, can you get a tank filled? All of that stuff goes away because our system is a low pressure system. The highest pressure you're ever going to register on our system is 12 psi, and that's right out of the compressor head. So you're eliminating all of those questions by going to an oxygen concentration system. But you lose nothing because we're doing 95% oxygen.
Guys, Fishlong is the real deal. Check out my friends. Fishlong.com. Is that the website they can find you?
Yes.
Fishlong.com. You guys will be amazed at how well this product works. John, thank you for being
absolutely
the integrity that you have is the backbone of you and your company. It makes me so thankful to have you as a friend and a partner. Love what you guys are doing. Guys, check it out. This is Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.